Right, should we kick off then, Andrew? And if anyone comes through later, I'll just let them in as and when they appear. Obviously, just a bit of housekeeping for everyone. Hello, I'm Kate. I am working with Sam Parnell on these lovely talks that we're trying to deliver to everyone. Just a bit of housekeeping. While Andrew's talking, just to help him just keep on mute so there's no background noise, but obviously if there's an open forum for conversation, don't feel that you can't then unmute to chat. It is being recorded, so keep it clean. All PC, please. This obviously be available to people afterwards so that they can go back over it if there's anything of value that they wanted to just refresh themselves with. Just a little bit as well about where we're coming from with these talks. It's all to do with obviously for yourselves it'll be SIMS, but also ISTN, which is Ipswich and Suffolk Tech Network, which is quite a recent addition to the community that Sam Parnell is chairing. We've got a fabulous set of people on the board that are all voluntary, all tech people. We have got someone from Ipswich Borough Council as well. And really, we want to bring the community together in the tech industry. It doesn't matter what sector you're part of in tech, but it's about how you can collaborate through education and communication together. So that's a lot to do with what we're doing here. So over to you, Andrew, to deliver what will be a fabulous talk, no doubt.
Well, thank you. I admire your optimism. That's a good start. Okay, I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, can everybody see that? I need to tell you what that is. Actually, hands up. Who knows who that person is and why that picture's there? Paul, do you want to unmute yourself and let us know?
I think it's someone called Bob Goldthwaite or something like that, and he's from Police Academy.
See, you've gone much deeper than I was expecting.
Oh.
What's the name of his character?
Oh, I can't remember, but he shouts it quite a lot.
He does. Well, his name of the character is Zed. So I thought it's a classic joke that if it needs too much explaining, it probably didn't land. But anyway, there we go. So this talk is about the simplicity of digital marketing. When people think about digital marketing, especially people who run their own businesses, it can be kind of quite overwhelming. There's quite a lot to kind of take into consideration. But I have a mantra that it doesn't need to be that complicated. So first of all, a little bit about who I am. I'm a local business bod. I've run Andrew Laws Associates for some years. I've been doing this for about 20 years now. I'm also a musician. There's me standing behind a desk, pressing little bleeping boxes, actually at the Smokehouse here in Ipswich. I also like to ride my bike, and that's me at Manchester Velodrome. You can't tell, but the angle of that thing's like that. It's quite a scary thing to do. But I managed not to die because, well, I'm here today, which is proof of that. I show off sometimes about the fact that my band has played in some cool places. And I think you're probably getting the point now. I'm very much a musician as well as a digital marketing professional. I also like to relax at the allotment when I get time. There's a photo of a nice relaxing afternoon one Sunday a few years ago. Right, so Andrew Laws Associates, we are an SEO and digital marketing agency. You might wonder where the name came from. I can't even say that with a straight face, sorry. The name is my name, and it's because at the time I wanted clarity in everything I do. Something I didn't foresee is that when I pay somebody, like one of the guys who works with me, it comes through on their bank account as Andrew Laws Ass. So that's just a little something there. So primarily we work with SEO, but digital marketing and SEO and content, if it was a Venn diagram, it crosses over quite a lot. So we tend to just put those three things. It's also what people search for, so there's a good reason for that being there. Okay, so with my PowerPoint presentations, I try not to overwhelm with data. So I always use a Dilbert thing to kind of explain this. And the little panel you can see there on the top right is a classic example of what I'm trying to avoid, not just in this talk, but in everything I do with my business. So that says synchronized, incremental, digital, integrated, dynamic e-commerce space. I have sat in meetings with so many people over the years that say things like that. And I think if they don't mean anything to me, who's been kind of, eyebrow deep in this world for a long time, it's probably not serving its goal, or it's someone trying to obfuscate. And I don't like obfuscators. I think I made up a word there. Right, so before we get started, I want to play a game of digital marketing bingo. At the start, I said that digital marketing can mean many things to many people, and not everyone has a very clear idea of what it actually means. I mean, I just told you, I don't have a clear idea of what it means. It's kind of a little flag we wave that covers many things. So in your head, or on a piece of paper, if you feel so inclined, or in the chat box, I guess, I'd like you to try and think of 3 things that digital marketing means to you. Now, this can be a type of digital marketing. So like, I was about to give some away, then it can be a type of digital marketing. It can be a bit of software you use. It can be a website that you associate with digital marketing. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. So just think of 3 things. That was the easiest 10 seconds of any presentation I've ever done. Right, so I'm going to show you a lot of digital marketing words now, and I'm going to see if somebody can put their hands up when they spot 3 that they had in their head. You ready? See nodding heads? Yeah, okay. So first of all, here we go. Anybody got a full house from those? Anybody got 3 of those? I'll read them out in case your screen's small. We have SEO, search engine optimization, email newsletters, email outreach, infographics, PPC, pay-per-click, influencer marketing, reputation management, webinars, WhatsApp groups, ICQ. I just thought I'd throw in kind of a historical one. News groups, that's super historical. Blogging, blog commenting, forum marketing, social media, and affiliate marketing. Has anybody got a full house yet? Ah, Steve, right, you win. So we need a 2nd place now. There is no prize, by the way. So websites, LinkedIn marketing, video commenting, podcasting, paid advertising, content marketing, directories, review marketing, Facebook groups, viral marketing, apps, QR codes, guerrilla marketing, and that's not the animals, that's the other spelling, flash mobs, and CRM, which is conversion, no, it should be CRO, shouldn't it? It's conversion rate optimization. Who has a full house now? Yay, well done, Julie. Okay, Julie's 2nd place. Or was that Jane, were you tentatively putting your hand up there? Yay, okay, so you're joint 2nd place. So who's going to be 3rd? Competitor marketing, I should have chosen easier words. Competitor marketing, coupon marketing, joint venture marketing, guest posting, PR, quizzes, lead generation, competitions, Google Alerts, link building, Google My Business, UX, user experience, Harrow, which is help a reporter out, schema marketing, event marketing, or digital strategic partnerships. Who now has a full house? I can only see a few of you, so if anyone's just put your hand up, nice one. I'll kind of send the positivity over the waves like that. So you see there, digital marketing is chock full of silly terms, generally invented by people that want to sell things to you. Most of these things kind of do the same thing, but we'll come to that in just a moment. So if you were to look at a list like that, and you're spending one of those rare hours trying to push your business, trying to think of ways to push your business forward, how do you make the choice? I mean, I'll admit, kind of even for us in the biz, as it were, trying to make a decision when you're just faced with that much data can be a bit like, well, a monkey with a cymbal jumping around Homer Simpson's head. And if you try and pick lots and lots and lots of digital marketing things to do, you might end up feeling a bit like this guy. You might feel like you're sitting on a step. I mean, sitting a one-man band. And to be honest and being brutal, if you try and do all of those things, you might be making about as much money as that guy has in his hat. I can't see, even if I crane my head, but I can't imagine he has many kind of piles of gold in there. So my message is, you can't do all the things all the time. You can't achieve everything all at once. You can't exploit every single type of digital marketing there is. You can try, but that's going to be the opposite of Zen. That's going to be stress, and if you're ending up with hair the color of mine. That's not how this is this color, by the way. Part of being a young musician is I used to use bleach and all sorts in my hair, so don't do that. There you go. There's your first takeaway of the evening. Right, so how do you do internet marketing? Let's find out, shall we? I'm assuming that anyone listening here is running a business or has the responsibility in a business to make that business grow. I mean, if you want to kind of dive deep into it, I think probably everybody that works in a business is interested in that business growing. So digital marketing is open to pretty much everyone, which makes prospecting quite difficult for me, actually. But anyway, so we can boil down all digital marketing to just one thing. There's really only one thing you need to think about, and that's results. But where do you start? Try and put that huge list out of your mind. I mean, that's brief. If you kind of do a bit of research or kind of look into some of the publications even around digital marketing, the list of opportunities and the listings of things you can do is huge. So just let's not worry about that for now. There's another 80s reference there. So hands up, who knows who that is? Excellent. I won't ask you to shout it out. We'll just leave it at that, and not asking you to shout it out might give a little air of mystery for anyone who didn't know who that is. Right, so digital marketing starts the same way any business starts, and it starts with the same requirements. You need to identify who your target audience is. Now, I feel a little bit foolish kind of saying this to anyone who's involved in marketing or working at a business, because almost nobody starts a business without knowing who it is they want to buy their stuff or services. But it's worth stating because it does still happen. So many businesses are started on passion. Some people who really want to just get into something. I want to work for myself. I want to change the world, and I'm sick of my job and all that kind of stuff. So some people do still start a business without really giving thought to who their audience is. Now, we develop this with clients using something we call, and everyone else calls, actually, I didn't invent it, something called ideal client avatars. This can be really, really simple. So, for example, if you're running a hairdresser's, you could say that your ideal client is somebody with hair. That's a fairly good start. Somebody, oh, sorry, Paul. Somebody with hair, somebody who is interested in particular fashions, perhaps, somebody who is between a certain age group, depending on what type of customer you want to appear. And this list can go on and on. Incidentally, if anybody wants to sort of dig into ideal client avatar a bit more, I've got a PDF template that we use. Just message me or do whatever to reach me, and I'll send you that as a freebie. It's quite an interesting thing. I mean, it goes into some detail, but it's useful to know. So the second kind of business 101 thing is market research. And this is slightly different to the ideal client avatar. If the ideal client avatar is who's going to buy your stuff, who's going to give you money, market research goes into, well, what is it they actually want? Are you pricing yourself in a margin to attract the people who you want to give you money? How much competition is out there? Again, it's one of those things you can get very, very granular with, but it's something that's worth thinking about, even if you just think about it in very broad terms. Now, this leads on to competitor analysis. So if market research is what do people want, how much are they going to pay for it, and so on and so forth, competitor analysis kind of gets a bit more interesting, because who else out there is doing something like you? How much are they charging? What does their product look like? How do they explain that their service is better than everyone else's? What's their unique selling points? What else are other people doing? Now, all three of these things so far don't cost any money. These are all things you can do yourself with Google, Facebook, or pretty much anything. It just takes time and it just takes looking around. One of the things I recommend doing is to do a little bit of research, but only sort of do 15, 20 minutes and then go do something else. Because once you've loaded your brain with all these little nuggets of information, the human brain has an amazing ability to sort of ferment things, and it will lead you off in other directions. So if you sit down and go, right, between now and 7 o'clock this evening, I'm going to find out my ideal client avatar. I'm going to do all my market research and all my competitor analysis. It's probably going to be a bit of a miserable few hours. So that's just one of my little bits of advice, which doesn't work for everyone. I can only give you sort of from my experience and that my clients. So I've kind of accidentally covered some of the next paragraph, which is always fun. So one of the reasons it's so important to identify your target audience, your ideal client avatar in your market, is that you can start to think about and do research into what is it that makes people buy. Now, when us marketing folk get together in little darkened rooms and talk about digital marketing, we talk about pain points. I specifically haven't listed pain points as a thing on here because I want this presentation to stay as far away from any kind of marketing gobbledygook, apart from those first 3 things. I want to keep it as far away from marketing gobbledygook as I can. But I am going to explain the pain point. The pain point can be really simple. It can be someone's pain point is their windows are dirty. Hey, I'm a window cleaner, so that's an easy one to solve. If you're a dentist, someone needs their teeth looking after, or they literally have a pain point. There's your pain point. In essence, it's any problem or anything that people need to resolve. And it's not just problems, it can be positive things as well. If you're a cake shop, well, the pain point is people need cake, and a lot of people need cake. So identifying where your target audience hangs out. So when we decide which type of digital marketing to do in that horrible big cloud of digital marketing things, one of the first important things to figure out is, well, where are your customers? Now, it sounds like a slightly odd question. And if you're a shop, your customers could just be on the high street. If you're a business to business, if you sell services to other businesses, then your businesses might be hanging out on LinkedIn or in groups like this, actually. I'm going to trip back to competitor analysis for a little while here, because one of the things that we do quite a lot of is we look at market leaders and we try and figure out how they got to where they are. I mean, a lot of people in tech start with Apple. How are Apple where they are? What did they do to get there? Can we pick back through their kind of meteoric journey of success and figure out what they did to get there? Again, it's all about knowing your market. It's knowing what you do. Now, the last one is one of my favorites. No matter what type of digital marketing you're doing, you probably need to simplify your message. If you ask yourself or any friends who run businesses, what's great about your business? They've probably got quite a long list of things. They can say, well, we're fast, we're great at customer services, our product is stronger and never catches fire. I don't know what the competitor would be for that, but there's a lot of things. But if you try and put across all these messages, however you're doing digital marketing, you're back to that kind of bingo thing again of overwhelming people. You need to keep your message simple. In fact, with some clients we work with, the message comes down to just 2 or 3 words that are just continually reinforced. See, none of this so far requires any tech knowledge. None of this requires a significant investment. Nothing requires getting a team of people to sit in a darkened room and tap furiously away at keyboards. This is all kind of hopefully fairly accessible and fairly straightforward. So you may have guessed by now, part of my message, my simple message, is that digital marketing is really, it's just marketing. We just put the word digital in front because we're geeks and sometimes we think things sound cool when they might not do. But the reason we like the digital aspect of marketing, so using digital marketing channels, is that we can reach much, much wider audience. So for example, if we dial this right back and make it very, very simple, if you were a fruit and veg seller, you can stand on your fruit and veg stand and you can yell about apples. I don't know how much apples cost. Apples, £5 a kilo. Is that roughly? No, we're seeing a lot of people pulling faces. Oh yeah, they say you know you're famous when you don't know how much a pint of milk costs. So I'm gonna use that analogy for apples. Right. So if you're a market trader and you're yelling about your apples, your reach is going to be what, 20, 30 people? Although these days your reach is probably going to be 5 or 6 because everyone's spread out. So you have a very narrow reach. If you were a fruit and veg seller who operated online and used digital marketing, your reach could be the world. You know, it could be absolutely everybody, potentially for a similar amount of effort. One of the other things that digital marketing as a phrase has become very, very popular with CEOs, CTOs, other people in business, is that we can generally measure the results. So again, tripping back in time, that guy yelling about his apples, he can't measure his results very easily, even if he had an assistant to go, right, there's 30 people listening to you right now. Right, well, 2 of those bought some apples. I mean, that's never going to happen. But with a lot of digital marketing, no matter what it is, we can measure the success of it. And that's important because we can quantify the effort we're putting into the digital marketing against the results. And that's something that's very difficult to do with traditional pre-internet marketing, or offline marketing, as some people call it, which I think is horrible. For example, advertising in papers. There's still a place for advertising in papers, but one of the challenges is you pays your money, you takes your chance. Unless you put a little kind of coupon code or something, it's quite difficult to measure your success. So digital marketing is marketing. It's just more measurable, has a wider reach, and it's faster. The reason we say it's faster is if you're back to that apple seller, you can only kind of get your message across to so many people in a day. With digital marketing methods, you can get your message across to many more people much, much faster. Potentially, you know, the world. It's kind of that big.
And Andrew, before you move on to the next slide, Martin's chucked a question for you in the chat. He's just asked, how would you overcome the lack of a song mode on the Digitone and Digitact?
Yeah, that's a particularly helpful thing. The lack of the song mode, you chain patterns. Sorry, that was a question about one of the bits of musical equipment that was in the first slide. Somebody's proper paying attention there. Yeah, good question. I like questions like that. Right, so I just kind of told you about marketing, but with digital marketing, where do you really start? I mean, I start simply. What areas of the internet are you already familiar with? I mean, where do you hang out? There's a fairly good chance, depending on what type of business you run, that the people who might buy your product or service are probably not that far away from you. I mean, to give you a really, really simple kind of example, my brother-in-law is interested in starting a business that sells drones, you know, little drone things. Now, he knows quite a lot of people who like flying drones. There's quite a lot of people around him who would possibly buy something from him. But even if it's not that straightforward, wherever you're hanging out online, whether you spend all your time on LinkedIn or Facebook or forums or wherever, do you see businesses like yours there? When I say like yours, I mean not selling the same thing necessarily, but similar sizes, similar types of people. I kind of believe in the law of attraction when simplifying marketing. People tend to form together in little bubbles, and we like to hang out with people who are kind of similar to us. So you might already be in the best place to get stuck into your marketing. One thing that's worth thinking about: how much time do you invest in marketing? How much time are you prepared to invest in your marketing? I know I said that digital marketing gives you a bigger reach and is much, much faster. But if you hit a stream, a little golden stream that works well, can you scale it? Can you make that bigger? You know, how how much effort can you put into doubling and maximizing your results? Now, you're not going to know that unless you are measuring things. So as soon as you start even just scribbling on the back of a, I was going to say fag packet, but the back of a something, right, well, I spent about an hour on LinkedIn today. This is how many leads I got. This is how many people I spoke to. This is how many sales I made. And then you look at another piece of paper where you've recorded how much time you spent on Facebook another day and say, well, I didn't get any leads from that. That's, you know, it's a matter of trying to be efficient with your time, which comes back to this message of you can't do all the things all the time. Now, what can you do yourself? A lot of digital marketing is personality based, and it's based on you as a business leader. Now, this is especially true with social media, because anything you do is going to come back to you. The messages you're putting out have probably got your grinning face on them, or they have your name attached to them somewhere. And that's the way a lot of people spend a lot of their time marketing themselves online. But it's worth just taking a step back for a minute and trying to think if that's always the best way of doing it. If you, for example, on Facebook, if you've built up a good tribe of people and you're consistently putting out your messages, what happens when you go on holiday? Does your marketing just grind to a halt? I mean, it might not matter if it does just grind to a halt, but it's worth having a think about what parts of your online marketing you can delegate to other people. We do this just by using processes. I mean, we make spreadsheets that just say, we're going to do this then, we're going to do this then, we're going to do this then. The idea being that nobody has to work 24/7 to keep the marketing message alive. So crack on if you're doing it with your name and your face, but just give some thought to how you can just ease the pressure off a bit on yourself. It's quite easy to burn out with marketing. I don't know if anyone else here has just kind of got particularly fed up with it at any point, even if you're getting good results.
Andrew, we've got another question come through.
Is it about music or something else?
Not about music. It's from Jane Billing. She's asked, apart from LinkedIn, is there another social media platform that you recommend for business to business?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Jane. I'm going to give you a couple of very rough examples here, and do call me up on it if I don't answer that. So just going to give you a rough example for social media. So this is just one part of digital marketing. If you are business to business, you might find that LinkedIn is the right place to be. And if you're there, you can be yourself and just do whatever you want. But there are 4 things that will really, really help you make progress. First of all, it's being consistent with your content. This is partly because, this is in terms of frequency. It's partly because LinkedIn and any social network likes to see people who are investing their time in it, because that means they get to keep people on their network, and that means they can sell advertising to them. It's not like LinkedIn's really, really nice and just making sure the quality of things is good. No, they just want people to hang around. On LinkedIn, you need to constantly expand your network. Find new people to have conversations with, but choose them wisely. If you know who your ideal client is, you know who your audience are, just connect with those people. Don't try and be all things to all people. If you are selling bicycles or something that, like pro cycling gear, so those funny little hats and the funky glasses, which I do own actually, then you're probably not going to have a lot of joy targeting, say, truck drivers who might not have a time. God, I couldn't think of any good example there. Now on LinkedIn, it's kind of okay to message people. Just don't be a jerk. Just sort of be nice with it. Just say hello. Nobody likes the kind of instant connection and then the heavy-handed big sell. I think it's akin to walking into a networking event when we're all in the same rooms and just yelling at people. It's not going to endear you to anyone, but you can start meaningful conversations. And that connects to the next point, which is encouraging interaction. Now, not just with your conversations in the messenger on LinkedIn, but also on your posts. I mentioned a little while ago that all LinkedIn really wants is people to stay on LinkedIn. So they reward any content that gets a lot of chatter, gets a lot of likes, gets a lot of comments. They will automatically show that to more people. Again, none of this costs you money to do. This isn't, I have to give LinkedIn this amount of money and I get this result. This is kind of just trying to finesse a process to get the best possible reach, the best possible result. One thing we recommend clients do is when you're going to post a bit of content, ask your mates to comment or like it. I mean, that's not an unreasonable thing to do, I don't think. And if you can get comments and likes on your LinkedIn post within roughly the first hour of posting it, LinkedIn goes, oh, this is a hot one, and they'll show it to more people. In terms of other business networks, outside of networking, the networks that are attached to networking events like 4N and BSI, I forgot what it's called. Outside of those kind of things, there's not really any established business network yet, or at the moment, that I would recommend spending a lot of time on. It's a constantly evolving process, so it may change, but at the moment, it's pretty much all about LinkedIn. So if your business is a consumer, so you're not selling things to other businesses, you're selling them to punters, to human beings, then if you were to decide Facebook was the right place to be, to spread your message and increase your reach and influence people to make a decision, then it's worth building your tribe. Now, this can be as simple as just getting more people into your Facebook group by adding good quality content, providing value at every turn, just doing what you can to get people on your side. It's kind of a little bit, it's not that far away from kind of building a cult, but without any of the negative kind of connotations of that. You do good stuff, and if people want to keep coming back, they'll naturally want to interact with your posts, and those posts will then automatically be shown to more people. It's kind of like a very gentle way of just sort of keeping people within arm's reach. Getting reviews on Facebook. This doesn't appear to be massively exploited by a lot of people yet. When I say exploited, I mean used very nicely to increase business. But if you've got the right type of Facebook page, then it's relatively easy to go to the reviews bit and grab the link from the top and just email customers. They've got to be genuine reviews. Email customers, anyone who's bought from, to say, oh, would you mind just doing this? And the reaction I get when I say that to people quite often is, well, people don't want to do that. And, you know, a lot of them don't. But if you were to ask 10 people one week and one person left a review, and then a couple of weeks later, you remember you're supposed to be doing that, and you ask another 10 people, and only one person, it all accrues. It all adds up. And if you go and look at your competitors and see how many reviews they've got, if they've got none, great, you're already winning because you're already kind of on it and they're ignoring it. If they've got, say, 12, and the numbers do appear to be quite low at the moment, then you only need to get to 13 and you're already looking that little bit better. People buy on reviews. They buy on the number of reviews. That's why Amazon's so spammed, you know, so chock full with so many junk reviews. So people say on Amazon know how important it is. Now, again, be consistent with your content and its frequency. You don't have to post once an hour. You know, if you're going to post once a week, try and make it the same day. Human behavior naturally falls into patterns of behavior. And it sounds like a bit far-fetched, but if you say always post on a Monday morning, then, you know, some people might come to expect that and might, you know, look forward to it if you're doing good stuff. With one of my clients, we did a thing where we posted a picture, made a post on Facebook every Wednesday called Wednesday Mutt Shots, and I did not come up with that name. And we just asked people to post pictures of their dogs, and my goodness, did they post pictures of their dogs. Lots and lots and lots of dogs, which it's kind of fun actually, because looking at pictures of dogs is not bad work to get paid for. But that became a thing. People were coming to the site to look for pictures of dogs on Wednesday, on the Facebook group rather. And again, encouraging interaction with your Facebook posts is key. It's really, really important. Quite often when we do research for clients, we see Facebook groups, and even if they've got a large number of followers and likes and all those kind of fancy numbers, we'll see lots and lots and lots of posts with no interaction on them. And obviously we can't see behind the scenes, and we can't see the statistics for how many people those posts are being shown to by Facebook, but we know it will be very, very little. There's no point in, you're just wasting your time. If you just post and post and post, no one's interacting. It's like yelling down a well. You know, you might hear your own voice come back, but your keys might fall out of your pocket. And no, that's the wrong analogy. But yeah, you're wasting your time. Basically, it's inefficient marketing. And again, just ask customers, you know, if you've got like a neat little list of besties, then ask them to post. Get that ball rolling, get the interaction going, and Facebook will show your content to more people. And then because it's good content, of course, more people will naturally interact. And it's all about building momentum, and everybody started from nothing. I know Facebook's obviously been around a while now, and it can be almost a little disheartening to look at a competitor and go, got 30,000 likes, we can't do that. My attitude is, yeah, you can. You just need to start. There's some cliche about all journeys start by putting one foot in front of the other, or I might be confusing cliche with Lord of the Rings. Anyway, everybody starts somewhere.
Andrew, we've got another question come through from Kath Bright.
Okay.
And what she's put is LinkedIn seems to be, she's put this very eloquently, seems to be moving to kittens and kids since COVID. Do we need to change our approach to LinkedIn to reflect the fact that whilst it's business to business, it seems to be evolving into something fluffier?
I have an opinion on this, and it is based on data. It's based on tests that I've done. And anyone who's been commenting or liking my posts recently, I'm sorry, you were part of a test. LinkedIn, when it started, no one really knew what to do with it. And it was very kind of everyone in suits, no expressions, very flat kind of what I think of as like London boardroom behavior. Everyone's afraid to say anything. And it was very, very stilted. And it's picked up massively over the last couple of years, especially with COVID. And people are sort of relaxing into it now, and they are more prepared to put pictures of kittens or dogs or whatever. And the little test part of the tests I've been doing recently, I post fairly consistently information to help people. So digital marketing, SEO tips, I post about the podcast I do. And I ask for interaction from people, and I get it. And, you know, the posts are viewed and they've been building momentum, and it's all really good. But I've put up a few semi-personal posts recently, or certainly posts that aren't overtly connected to my business or digital marketing and SEO. An example being yesterday, I posted a picture of, I got given an Asda bag full of chili sauce bottles from East Coast Chili Company in Ipswich, who I'm not meant to be plugging, but seriously, they're great. And I laid them out on my desk, and I just posted a post on LinkedIn saying, look what I've got, you know, isn't this a great start to the day? And that post has been shown to so many people by LinkedIn. And it's not really got a massive amount more interaction than some of my most popular kind of business-like posts. But it's not the first time it's happened. I've done a few other tests over the last few months, posting things that you might think of as being a bit more Facebooky. So I'm just going to get rid of that guy's face. Oh, that's staring at me. Never mind. Yeah, things that I might consider to be a bit more Facebooky or Instagrammy, a bit more kind of lol, I'm your mate than kind of straight business stuff. And LinkedIn appears to be making a deliberate move to show those to more people. So should you post more fluffy kittens? I would say not if you're, the word is SHIT posting. If you're doing that, which is just kind of just posting fluff just to get result, you know, just to get reactions or just to keep content, I wouldn't do that, because I think that will kill LinkedIn. And we can't stop that from happening if that's the way it's going. But I would like to think that I'm not going to be a part of that. So I won't just post complete junk. But if you kind of work it on the duck, duck, punch method, it might be quite a good tentative way to exploit this now. So the duck, duck, punch is the kind of the business, the personal, the business, the personal. Very roughly. I mean, I don't literally mean 2, then 3, but the occasional one, yeah, drop it in. I'd say with the caveat that this is still going to be the first impression a lot of people get of your business. So just don't do anything that you wouldn't want people to forever associate with you in their minds. I'm happy for people to associate me with liking chili sauce. I can't think of any damaging PR angle to that at all. But if I was to post, I don't know, something incredibly personal or angry, that's potentially going to be a lot of people's first impression of me and my business. And I don't want them to forever associate me with that. So, I mean, it's my daughter's taught this at primary school, you know, don't put stuff online that you don't want associated with you. But that was, Kath, a very long way of just saying, yeah, why not?
I've got another couple of questions, Andrew, for you.
Yeah, go for it.
What's your view on automated posts? That's from Ian Tilley-Nunn.
If the content's good, why not? If you're using software to do it, I would strongly advise against using software to generate the content, because human first. Well, I meant to put a slide in that said human first. In my, you know, digital marketing should always be human first. So don't use software to spin up just kind of junk. But in terms of scheduling posts, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you do that? It's an efficient thing to do. If you want to get really good at it, schedule posts at 10, 15 different times over a few days or weeks and see which one gets the most interaction. Because you might find that your audience uses LinkedIn or any other platform, you know, might find it's more active on a Sunday morning. You might find Tuesday afternoons when people kind of decide that they want to invest their time in that. So if you mean software to post content, yeah, I don't have a problem with that, as long as it's within the terms and conditions of the platform. I mean, LinkedIn won't let you just pound it, you know, don't do that. So there was another question.
Yeah, Martin has come up with another question. His is, so why is LinkedIn trying to become Instagram? Which is probably feeding into what you were just talking about with the whole fluffy kittens and kids thing at the same time. I think you might have answered that question in a roundabout way, probably.
Yeah, but as to why, obviously only they know, but the social networks might look very, very strong, but they are all 6 months away from death at all times. Social networks used to kind of operate in a very arrogant way. I mean, MySpace is the biggest example. It was huge. I launched a business off the back of MySpace just by talking to people on it. It was amazing. Not this business, different one. But it died because people spammed the bejeebers out of it. But they had the chance to change it and they didn't do anything about it. It's happened again and again. So the reason LinkedIn might be becoming more that way, it's got to be their choice to do it. But if I was being skeptical, I'd say they're terrified of becoming obsolete and being taken over by something else, which is personally think is disappointing, because I'm going to stop using LinkedIn if in 2 years' time it's just pictures of kittens. I've got Reddit for that. You know, I've got other sites. I don't need to go there for that. Okay, so that guy who's been yelling at you for the last few minutes, that was just to say, don't be a foghorn, no matter what you're doing on social media. Don't just blast out messages. Interaction really, really is important. Don't yell, engage. You're kind of back to the Apple seller, actually, but that's a poor example. Right, so how do you measure your success with digital marketing? Is it how many people you've got following you, or how many connections you have on LinkedIn? Is it that? This is a rhetorical question. I'm not looking at you to see if anyone's like putting their hands up or anything. Is it the number of visitors you get to your website? You know, what are you measuring? How do you know you're succeeding with digital marketing? Is it how many people you've got on your mailing list? No, you probably saw this coming, but the only real measure of if your digital marketing is successful is whether it's making you money. Are you profiting from what you're doing? Now, I mean, digital marketing, there are some niches where digital marketing in almost any form is a complete waste of time, because that audience, that market just doesn't operate that way. That number's getting smaller and smaller and smaller, but it does still exist. So I've kind of not really told you much about about any specific type of digital marketing. I've not talked about channels and platforms or used any of those things. So where can you go to get digital marketing advice? You know, well, first of all, we have to know if the advice is any good. There is a lot of advice out there. If you just search how do I, and then add anything like SEO, digital marketing, social media, anything, there is a lot of people giving advice. I have a little safety valve that I use to assess whether the advice is any good. And are they trying to sell me the solution to the problem I've got? And obviously a lot of software companies write blogs that give guides and give solutions, but any advice that basically says you cannot solve your problem without putting your hand in your pocket and spending money on something, I kind of tend to disregard those. One of my key themes in any talk that I give is that you can do almost all digital marketing yourself for free, if you exclude your time. Sorry, excuse me. Working at home all day, it's like I don't actually speak to that many people or for that long. So yeah, so are they selling a magic bullet? If they are, then I'm kind of quite skeptical about whether that advice is any good. Is the advice current? Now, on the whole, with digital marketing, do good stuff and good stuff happens. If you feel sketchy about it or you're not quite sure if it's the right thing, just do a little bit of research. You can trust your gut to a certain extent. Be brave, but trust your gut. So when looking for advice, always have a hunt around and see what the date of the article is. You know, for example, LinkedIn, the person asked, should I start posting kittens? If I wrote a blog post right now saying what I said, you know, right, well, you might as well, let's see what happens. Somebody reading that in 5 years' time when LinkedIn's dead and we're all on something else, that's going to be bad advice. And you have to watch it, because some people who write articles on digital marketing, they actually remove the dates from things, which is disappointing. But if you're proper smart, you can use Google to find results that were published within a certain kind of range. But that's another topic. So always check the date. But there are some sources which are almost always good, and it's groups like this. Wherever you find peers, wherever you find other people, you know, not just in the same industry, but wherever you find other people like you, you can talk to them and share experiences with them. And I think a lot of the times, unless the whole group somehow magically steers in the wrong direction, a lot of times that can be a really, really good way of getting advice. When we all used to sit down in the same room and kind of have coffee before networking, the amount of information passed between us was fantastic. And you know, I think most people have had a conversation where they're considering something in business. It can be anything. It could be what pension to get. It could be anything to do with business. You talk to your peers or other people in a group, and someone goes, oh, well, I tried that, and these were the problems I have. And you think, well, I'm not doing that then. Or, yeah, I'm doing that. I didn't look like two people there, did I? I was trying to act then, which I should not do. Sources with good reviews are always handy. I mean, any source that people are saying positive things about, and it might not be, well, this blog site, you know, this website, this blog has 20-star reviews. It could just be, what sort of things are people saying in the comments section? Do they look real? But honestly, the #1 source for a lot of digital marketing information is to come to events like this. It's so ingrained in my industry to talk. It's not just me. I'm not the only one who talks a lot. It's so ingrained in us to go out and talk. We're in the Wild West as far as digital marketing is concerned. We're the newbies. You know, this is only the first 25 years really of an industry or a type of industry existing. 200 years time, they'll look back on us and they think, what were they doing? But for now, all we can do is do our best. Well, there's a blank page. Ah, there we go. So with any marketing, test stuff. Your picture of kittens on LinkedIn, Kath, did that get more likes than a picture you posted of a cake or a bicycle or a tree?
I just put in the comments actually that when I said about kittens and kids, there's some days when my feed is just full of people talking about mental health, illness, woes, hardship, and it almost seems like a bit of a competition as to who's had it shittest. Sorry for swearing.
No.
And who's, you know, won that battle and coming through the other side, and it's they. I almost get like that guilt. People feel they have to kind of acknowledge that somebody's just bared their soul. So they tend to get a lot of traction and a lot of likes and shares. But I've now noticed people are doing like win a handbag competition on LinkedIn. they're still dying in the water. So I don't know, is it that emotional pull on your heartstrings? But yeah, I think they are getting the traction. I'm hoping when everybody gets back to work and has got something to do other than being on LinkedIn all day, that it will almost go back to the normal LinkedIn, because I like knowing what Instagram is for and what Facebook is for and what LinkedIn is for. I don't like this. I see the same post on all three forums, and I don't think the same post in the same way should be on the same three forums.
I mean, one of the things that we stick to is it's always, for one thing, it's always best to avoid putting exactly the same content on each social network, because each audience reacts differently, receptive to different things. In my experience, I would say that this kind of current fad of I don't even want to name it, but people putting up very emotive posts that are miles away from their core business, on LinkedIn. I think it's a trend that will die out. And the reason being is that, in my experience, any large effort, any large push that marketers use on any platform stops being used when it stops making money. And those pushes and those kind of constant emotive things, if they don't directly lead to people making more money, people will stop doing them. It will take a while. I mean, we've seen it with other networks where people, the number one hack to make money, and they just drift away eventually, because in the long term, they don't make anybody any money. I mean, I'm sounding awfully cold-hearted, but no, I'm with you. I think being human is important, not pouring your soul out, because again, that could be the first impression someone gets of you. And I'm an emotional person, and I'm not trying to hide that, but I would rather put out something positive personally and get that kind of reaction.
So somebody just put in the comments that it's the equivalent of the coffee machine, because we're all at home, so you don't have the coffee machine to stand around and talk. But there's been posts, I mean, that they're heartbreaking, don't get me wrong, but I've even seen a post where somebody has announced that their partner's died, or that it's been a year since their partner's died, but the post isn't about work at all. It's just about how awful their life is. And I agree, their life is awful, but I don't know whether it's because we're all feeling a bit isolated and LinkedIn is their only place. But somebody's just put, it doesn't seem to be dying out, and I really hope by September time, when offices are reopened and we're back out there, it does, and we have human contact to talk to about those things. People need to talk about them. It's good people are sharing, but I don't know if I want to be the one they're sharing with, one of 1,000 connections on LinkedIn.
If you're seeing a lot of it, obviously our circles, our spheres of influence on LinkedIn are all individual to us, more or less. And some groups of people are more likely to post things like that. But if people get cheesed off with it and stopped reacting to it, I'm saying this as neutrally as possible, if people get cheesed off with it and stop reacting to it, it will go away. LinkedIn or Facebook or whoever will stop showing it to people, because they only want content that people are going to interact with. And it might be a hot thing at the moment, but unfortunately, human beings are pretty damned intolerant. We the human race only gets to a certain, so we're getting philosophical now. I'm gonna, if it's all right with you, Kat, I'm gonna move on. Right, so test. What types of posts do react? If you're posting emotional things and they do react, then probably that's gonna get you more coverage, but it's not a good long-term strategy. But if you find out, for example, you've got clients in industrial sectors and lots of posts about very minute detail on a technical level, very, very popular. If they post pictures of kittens, no one cares. I don't know why, kittens are great. And from that testing, just track what's successful. I know I said earlier, write things down just to keep a rough idea. But to be honest, because we're business owners, when we post something and it does get traction, it does do well, we don't tend to forget it. So a lot of this can be kind of fairly informally done. So the next point does kind of speak to what Kath and I were just speaking about, evolve. You know, let things change, let markets swish around. We can't really control them. I mean, it causes upsets all the time in digital marketing. A few years ago, when Google started putting information from people's websites actually in Google results rather than sending anyone to a website, that upset a lot of people. And my attitude, and a lot of people in the industry's attitude, was, look, you have to go where people are. You know, if Google's stopping people from getting to your website by pulling information from your website and putting it in their results, go with it, evolve, you know, go where the people are. And sometimes you do just have to move on. I mean, don't flog a dead horse with any digital marketing, even if in your gut you know it's the right thing to do. If you're testing, tracking, and prepared to evolve, sometimes you just, you know, up sticks and move on. It's quite an important thing to do, because if you're not getting traction somewhere and you keep on and keep on and keep on trying it, for one thing, your message, your simple message, is probably going to you know, shatter and become very, very splintered into lots of little things, or it's just going to get very demoralizing. You know, a lot of us hopefully run businesses because it's a fun thing to do, and banging your head against a wall is no fun unless you've got a hard hat and you've lost your hammer and your nail needs to go in. But probably still not fun then, is it? Right, so if I keep saying anyone can do their own digital marketing, why would you actually hire someone to do it? Why do I do this for a living when I you know, people can do it themselves? It comes down to two things. And this isn't a complete kind of like pull the rug out of you. You know, when you go through some presentations at the end and they say, but you know, forget all that, it's all wrong. No, it's not true. People hire marketing agents like mine for speed, essentially. Because we have experience, we can make the connection between A and B much, much faster. But, you know, you can do it. It might, yeah, you might be faster for all we know, but people do it, hire us and other agencies for speed largely, and also its resource. Even if, you know, I said earlier that even if you find a method or a channel or whatever digital marketing thing that's really working, it's always a good idea to start thinking about how to delegate it, because you've got a business to run. And I live by a default diary, so I have a certain amount of time each day that I dedicate to these things that's kind of ring fenced. But you know, a lot of people hire digital agencies just because they need someone to actually do what we call the petrol pump attendant bit. So you might know that you need 4-star. That hasn't existed for years, has it? You might know that you need unleaded. You might know the petrol station's there, but when you get to the petrol station, you might not have time to actually put the petrol in. So agencies also do the petrol pump attendant bit. So in conclusion, nothing's in marketing has changed. It's always be the best, do good stuff, and network and talk to people. There you go. I don't know if that's a bombshell or not really, but hopefully I haven't obfuscated and confused everybody with this. I am going to plug my podcast because people seem to like it. If you like this sort of chatter with a little bit of veering into philosophy occasionally, you might like my podcast. It's on all the networks, or you can just Google Internet Marketing for Humans, because I do SEO, so I can make sure stuff like that kind of pops up. Right, so I haven't been keeping an eye on the chat because I've been trying to remember my words and stay animated, but how much time have we got? We've got 2 minutes.
You've got time. We've got kind of half an hour-ish if we want it for chit chat, kind of as long as people want to hang around, really.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing so we're not all staring at a big white screen. That's better. I always feel like everyone should just relax a bit when you kind of you come back into a room with other people. Okay, so any more questions about the musical equipment I was using in the first slides? No?
That's a no.
Which Martin was it? Martin Russ?
Martin Russ.
It was Martin Russ, okay. I'm making a note. I shall speak to you after class. And I'm genuinely impressed that you could tell he was completely right with what those bits of gear were, even though it was in the dark, kind of in the corner. Right, any other questions or just discussion points or anything?
Oh, Martin,
look at that!
Demonstrating his musical ability.
Look, Martin, I'm gonna. This isn't meant to be kind of a reveal, but I'm going to remove my background. So this is only for Martin. Novation Circuit, Moog Harmonicon, TV303, Profit 2. There you go. Right, that's the musical bit done.
Is it a competition?
No, it's not meant to be a sort of one-upmanship. Musicians are just genuinely really interested in what gear each other use. It's just, we're geeks. We're geeks that make noises.
You don't want to start Martin off, though, on music.
I don't know, I might do. Nice to see you, David.
You can get a private room for that.
We've got one. It's the smokehouse. We go there and make the noise.
There you go.
Right. So before this devolves into just complete kind of chaos, if that's it, I think I'm going to call myself done and wrap that up.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing that this evening, Andrew. And thank you everyone for coming along, because obviously I appreciate time-wise. It's dinner time for many people. And as Andrew said right at the beginning, he's got a young family as well, which it definitely is dinner time. Did you all want to hang around to have a chat between yourselves, or are you all kind of thinking of food right now like me?
Well, I'm sitting in a pub waiting for food to turn up, so I'm cheating. For those who are interested in similar activities, the Ipswich Drink About is on tomorrow night. Find it on Meetup, starting 7 o'clock. So that's on Jitsi for an easier Zoom experience. So all welcome.
I am shocked because Steve turned up with a mouthful of biscuits at the beginning and wasn't sharing, and now David's down the pub waiting for a meal to turn up again. No one's there with him. No one knew. Where was the invite?
Well, ironically, I think my companion may be turning up shortly, so it's perfect timing. So.
All right, well, if everyone's happy with what they've had tonight, again, thank you, Andrew, and thank you to you all. And oh, Alison, did you want to say something, Alison? Oh, I think we've lost her. I think she was waving goodbye. Yeah. All right, well, thank you, everyone, and have a lovely evening.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks for listening, everyone.